Interesting, Sam. Speaking of interesting, you had a piece in The Age today, just broken an hour or so ago, regarding Ben Brown. Things aren't looking too great for Ben Brown.
No, well, they're not. They're over at North Melbourne. They've told him to look for a new home. This is a man who kicked the best part of 190 goals between 2017 and 2019. 3 consecutive seasons at 60+. More than Tom Hawkins, more than Jeremy Cameron. We know he's had a torrid year, both on and off the field. This year, with injury and personal circumstances, he's only played the 9 games, but Rhys Shaw does not believe that he is in his long-term plans. He's out of contract, but he's not a free agent. His manager, Adam Ramanauskas, has had conversations with several clubs, including Hawthorn, Collingwood and the Gold Coast Suns, but he has been told to look for a new home.
Harrow, before you jump in, Ross, you've just dropped your pen there. I was watching your body language.
I just think strategically as a club, even if that's what you thought, why would you tell him and his manager, we don't want you, and put it to the marketplace? How are they going to get true value for him now? You don't want him here.
Even more extraordinary. What was Adam Ramanauskas and Ben Brown offered at the start of the year?
It was a 3-year deal. I'm told it was north of $750,000 per season. Now, he'd just come off the back of 3 consecutive years at 60+ goals. Adam and Ben wanted 4 years. The North Melbourne stuck to their guns, and so did Adam Ramanauskas and Ben Brown. Must remember that they're not the only ones that do this. Jeremy Cameron, who is the reigning Coleman medalist, has done the exact same thing. He and his management have held out, wanting a better deal, wanting more money.
He's got a bit more leverage than Ben Brown. I gathered from reading between the lines of your piece that clubs aren't exactly jumping for Ben Brown at the moment.
Well, Hawthorn have said that they're not interested. Collingwood are prioritising A, very tight cap, and B, re-signing Darcy Moore and Jordan De Goey. And the Gold Coast Suns, I think, are looking at it, but are wondering whether it could actually hinder the development of their young full forward in Ben King. So there is a lot happening in this space. Ben Brown will find a place to play in 2021. There's no doubt about that, but I don't think it will be at North Melbourne.
Tell us what's going on with Clayton Oliver and the Melbourne Football Club.
Well, I'm not trying to get away from this, but I don't know. You hear scuttlebutt and you speak to clubs and you speak to player managers that there is something that Clayton Oliver is not happy about, but I've been assured today that he's contracted and will be at Melbourne next season. Interestingly enough, he finished 5th in the best and fairest that was won tonight.
Yeah, appreciate it. All back home, all
as you can hear here.
Support you give us, and hopefully next year will be a much better year.
He didn't seem enamoured with the result, but he finished 5th. He finished behind Ed Langdon, I'm not sure. I think it is true that there is something that
Christian Petrarca, Stephen
Christian Petrarca won at Stephen May.
Viney.
Jack Viney was 3rd and Ed Langdon 4th. Max Gawn finished behind Clayton Oliver.
So come on, Sam, you're the Minister for Carlton. Are they into him or not?
I honestly don't know, Eddie, and I'm not trying to get away from it. I haven't asked Carlton whether they're interested in Clayton Oliver. Clearly, they're after more midfielders, but I have been assured today that he will remain at Melbourne.
Just on that, Ed, I think he's exactly the type. Maybe Oliver and Cripps are too similar in a sense, but you take him, I think it's exact. Jack Graham, even at Richmond, who's I know Carlton are heavily into. It's exactly.
Well, you'd rather have Oliver than Curnow inside, with respect.
Why does everybody want to go to Carlton all of a sudden?
They seem like they've got a open checkbook, haven't they, Carlton?
Yep.
So
good head of football.
The brown paper bag's back, is it?
The other big player is going to be the Bombers, obviously. And Sam, obviously Joe Danaher.
Yep.
Joe Danaher, Orazio Fantasia, Adam Sarden, and the noise around Zach Merritt, who I believe is the best player at the Bombers.
Yeah, well, a little bit like Clayton Oliver. For whatever reason, Zach Merritt doesn't particularly seem particularly enamoured with where the club and he are at the moment. He's contracted for next year. He'll be staying there. There's no way that Essendon will let him go. Adam Sard has told the club that he'll make a decision whether he stays or leaves by the end of next week. There'll be clubs queuing up for him if that decision is no. It won't just be Melbourne and Carlton, who have already made an inquiry to his management. I don't think Orazio Fantasia will be there. I think he'll be at one of the South Australian clubs. And I've said for some time now that I think Joe Danaher will be at Brisbane, although I sat here last year saying that I think he'd be at Sydney. So it's hard to tell.
It's staggering for a powerful Melbourne club that you're talking about 5 of their top-line players potentially looking to leave.
Particularly, Ross, given that Sard's been offered a 4-year deal, which, as we've seen with Ben Brown, don't just get handed out.
So what do you think?
Lordy, can I just ask you quickly about Merritt, though? Was he disappointed by getting offloaded out of the leadership group? He won the best and first last year. He's been runner-up this year. Not much more he can do on the ground for the team. He seems to be sort of the reasons, well, not the reason so much, but he's almost the talisman for what's happening at Essendon. He was allegedly too hard on his teammates. Was that the reason
well,
for it?
I know that he's one of the most professional players that they've got at that football club, and he's really diligent in everything he does. And maybe got voted out of the leadership group because he put so much time in his footy. They said maybe you need to spend more time on relationships with other sort of players. But unfortunately for Essendon, Ed, it sort of falls down those sidelines where he wants to know where the club's going. He wants to be part of something successful, which he's not seeing at Essendon, which is a real concern with so many players, including Hooker and Hurley, who you hear maybe have that discontent at the moment.
Michael Hurley will be there next year, by the way, Caro.